This is Andi Purewal of Boxing News. I'm joined by the ever-travelling Eddie Hearn. Eddie, from stateside, back to here. I mean, I believe you're going back out for Detroit this week as well.
Yes, tomorrow. When we made this fight, they called a presser for Monday and I was already on my way to Mexico. So back yesterday, away tomorrow, Detroit this week. And obviously over the moon with this fight. I think it's a fight AJ needs, Dillian needs, British boxing needs, we need, DAZN need. And I'm really excited. I think it's a huge event.
How much pressure have you felt to put on a show which you believe can live up to the hype that you think that this can deliver on the back of Eubank Jr when that fell apart last year?
I mean, that was a gutter because I just feel like in general, Andy, there hasn't really been a lot of big British events, not just from us, but from anyone. Like, we've all done good shows, you know, Wood against Lara, Taylor against Cameron, and Wood against Warrington against Lara at Headingley, and, you know, they've done Bilham Smith outside, but just felt like there hasn't really been any blockbusters, and Wood, Benn against Eubank was that, but we lost it. So it's good to have this. We may end up getting Benn Eubank announcement as well very soon, plus Wood against Warrington, plus Taylor against Cameron, plus Sonny against Rodriguez. We're trying to build something really special for this 6 months, and that's the plan over the next few days.
Just as you mentioned about, I'm going to stick with Conor. Speaking to Tony Sims last week, he said he expects everything to be resolved today with regards to Conor's UCAD and his BBOC situation. What can you fill us in on?
Well, I'm across it as much as Tony, and I know there was a hearing today. I have no idea how that went. I'm not sure whether you get a decision today, but I believe we'll get a decision this week, and that will open the door, if successful, to the Eubank fight taking place in September. But until we get that news, I can't move forward with that fight, and we'll see what happens.
Benn Eubank more likely than if he is cleared by the board and by UCAD to fight again, instead of Smith versus Eubank too?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Eubank, I don't think Eubank's interested in the Smith fight. I think he has to take it if he can't land the Benn fight, but of course we're all out, myself, Wasserman, Eubank, Benn, to make that fight in a stadium on September 23rd.
Joshua-Whyte too, Eddie. Very different stages of a career, a lot on the line for both men. Do you expect it to be similar to the first bout when he was a lot more explosive, or do you expect it to be different?
I think it'll be a bit more intelligent. I mean, back then they were just wild, weren't they? Like, it's going to be wild, but I think they're both much better now. I think they're both much more rounded fighters. But I think it will bring the spite out in them. I think Dillian Whyte's going to walk AJ down. AJ's going to have to stand his ground and fight. And I expect it to probably go a little bit deeper than the first fight. I see this fight going late. I don't see it going 12 rounds. But I think it's going to be gruelling. And I think both guys are going to have to be prepared for a long, tough fight. Because really, you know, people don't like talking about careers on the line. But let's be honest, careers are on the line, August 12th.
Obviously, there's a lot of talk about what's next for Anthony Joshua if he comes through, that Deontay Wilder fight. Are all of those talks on hold now until after August 12th, or will they continue in the background?
I mean, they're pretty much that they'll carry on because we're nearly done with them. But Saudis have made it clear the offer is off the table if AJ loses to Dillian Whyte. So, you know, that's why I think it's impressive taking the fight. He didn't have to take the fight. He took it because he believes he can win, and rolling the dice on August 12th.
Does Dillian get the Wilder fight if he wins?
No, not contractually, but he put himself in a good position. And I think that's one of the reasons he's taking the fight. I think, you know, at the moment, when you look at those guys like AJ and even Wilder now without the AJ fight, who do you fight? Like Wilder against Ruiz is like AJ against Whyte. It's like that kind of all-American, all-British fight. And I think they should look to make that fight. But I'm not sure whether Deontay Wilder will fight now until the Saudi fight. But saying that, he's only done one round in what will be a year and a half, 2 years before that fight comes around.
There's been a lot of frustration with the heavyweight division when you consider so many great fights which have been made at the lower weights, Eddie. Even the talk of Fury-Ngannou, obviously that hasn't gone down too well because the fight people wanted was Fury-Usyk. What have you made of the fans' frustrations? And even you can throw AJ into that because they want to see the Joshua-Wilder fight.
Yeah, and they're going to see that. I mean, Fury, yeah. But I don't think you can knock AJ because he's fighting, you know, pretty much agreed to the Wilder fight, and now he's fighting Whyte. You can't really knock Usyk because he's fighting Dubois. You know, people keep asking me to say something bad about Tyson Fury fighting Ngannou. It's disappointing for boxing, but I don't blame him. He's making a load of money to have an exhibition fight, but for me, exhibition fights happen when your career is done. you chase legacy and greatness first. And if he really cared about the legacy, he would fight Alexander Usyk. Whether it's for 70 or 80 million, does it really matter? I mean, if you believe you can win and go down as one of the best heavyweights of our generation, that win would enable him to do that. So I don't knock him for taking the Ngannou fight. It's not one I'm interested in, but I guess people will watch it and wish him all the best.
Can I just ask with AJ, Alexander Usyk signed a promotional deal with Skills Challenge. Obviously, I know AJ signed that long-term deal with you for the rest of his career. Does that become some form of a co-promo if he was to take on the fight out himself?
No, I mean, that's not part of the agreement. Obviously, he's got an exclusive promotional deal with us, so can't sign with anyone else and wouldn't want to sign with anyone else. So that would be a one-off fight. And, yeah, just move forward with that, hopefully, pending a victory here.
Just a couple of other topics. Baumgardner, Linardatou. Just what you expect this weekend?
Really good fight. I think Alicia is, absolute red-hot talent that is, for me, arguably pound for pound one of the best in female boxing. The Linardatou fight is fascinating. She's very strong, very aggressive, and she beat Alicia before. So she wants to tidy that up. It's the undisputed championship. And also, of course, in Detroit, you've got the professional debut of Andy Cruz. For me, one of the greatest amateurs of our generation. Moving straight into a 10-round fight against Burgos. Very tough fight to start his career, and looking forward to it.
Keyshawn Davis hasn't been pleased with you continuing to link them together to potentially fight.
Yeah, but look, who would you back to win that fight? And at the end of the day, Andy Cruz has to be outspoken to drive his value and to drive his profile. And we would fight Keyshawn Davis now. It's a tough fight. I rate Keyshawn, and I like him as a person. But the fact is, Andy Cruz beat him every time in the amateurs. And I believe he beats him in the pros. So if Keyshawn's ready for that fight, we're happy to make that with Top Rank. Let's see how he gets on against Burgos on Saturday.
Edwards and Bam, when do we get that date and venue set?
We are trying to, this week or next, announce our entire slate from August to December. It's difficult to do, but we're very close on a number of big fights in that slate. Obviously, Bam against Sonny's one. You're going to see that looks like early December on the West Coast, but that will be part of the big announcement.
So you say that the WBC have ordered Sandor Martin, but will allow for an exemption of him to face Regis Prograis. If you can get a deal between Haney and Prograis over the line, where do things stand on that?
Yeah, the talks are going well with Devin Haney. I think we're going to reach a deal for him to fight Regis. We still need to reach a deal with Regis to fight Devin Haney, and that's the only exemption around the Sandor Martin fight, which is a good fight, but not really one that Regis is chasing. So going to catch up with Devin again this week in LA, and confident we can make Haney-Prograis for the fall.
What are your plans with Dmitry Bivol?
He's going to fight in October. He's had an injury, and I said to the guys the other day, he should really let people just think he's not fighting. He's had an injury, he'll be ready for October. We made an offer to Dan Azeez, he chose not to take it. We're going to make an offer to Anthony Yard and Queensbury for that fight. I like the fight, and we'll see.
Can I ask what Ben Shalom said about that fight was never offered to him? He heard nothing about Dan Azeez potentially facing Joshua-Whyte. No, sorry, facing Dmitry Bivol.
Yeah, it wasn't offered to Ben Shalom. Frank Smith had half a dozen conversations with Dan Azeez, made him offers for that fight.
So are you adamant, man, Dan Azeez was a free agent, or is a free agent?
Yeah, he is a free agent. I mean, Frank Smith had 5 or 6 conversations with him and made him an offer. If he's not a free agent, I think we would have had a legal letter. So yeah, but he didn't want to take that fight, so we'll offer it to Anthony Yard.
How long's Dmitry got left on his contract with you guys?
He's got another fight with us.
And then just final one, just on this card, I've heard and seen that Hrgović, McKean might land, and Cash and William.
I wanted to announce the card today, but we haven't got all the paperwork and contracts in. I hate announcing without that. So, possible Cash against Williams, possible Dempsey McKean against Hrgović. Ebony Bridges will defend her world title on the card. Johnny Fisher will be in his first championship fight on the card as well. Fabio Wardley is here. We potentially have him on the card as well. But I just need 48 hours and we'll announce the full card.
Just last one. I saw rumours Felix and Tony have split.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, new trainer. I think Felix will announce in due course.
Thank you, Eddie.
Cheers, mate.